Okay, so we're here today to discuss aged cigars. I'm not going to tell you how to age cigars or all that stuff. That's a whole much longer video with more scientific stuff and instruction. What I'm going to talk to you today about is smoking aged cigars, when to stop aging and start smoking, that kind of stuff, and what to look for when you smoke an aged cigar or when you're buying cigars that you think are aged, okay? So let me give you a prime example. Like, this is a Padilla, 1932, made by Don Pepin on Calle Ocho, back in the Dizzle. This would have been around 2007-ish. Okay, and I believe this would have had Aganorsa tobacco in it, something like that. Some of those years, it's within there, anywhere from 2003 on, but before 2008. So let's call it 2006. All right, so that would make it 14 years old. Can you get a close-up on this, Johnny? Now that I'm looking at it in this light, it doesn't look too bad. But when I first got it, it was very old looking. It was very dehydrated looking. Okay. It's certainly not in great shape, and it certainly wasn't aged amazingly. I believe one of my friends, James Winters, found this at a shop, and they've been out without cellophane for years and years and years. So that's one thing. Also, when I walk into a shop, if they're using the mister, I want to make sure that mist isn't landing on cigars. When that mist is landing on cigars, particularly cigars without cellophane on them. We were in a shop recently, I don't want to name names, but we were in a shop where they had this huge mist going on, and it was landing on one particular section, one particular brand, and that brand doesn't use cellophane, or at least the ones I saw didn't have cellophane on them. And I mean, the cigars looked ruined to me. They were sopping wet. So, that's something. But I don't know if you could see that or not. It's just a little paler than it was. I mean, you got to expect some of that, but this one looks like it was sitting out without cellophane. Cellophane is so key to cigars. It makes them age just a tad slower, but it is key to keeping cigars in good condition and not losing the oils and sugars in the tobacco. Okay, that's where the flavor comes from, by the way. All right. Now let me show you a cigar that I believe was aged not quite as long, but is in impeccable condition. And that is my favorite cigar, the Daruma Mutante, made at Camacho under the Iroa when they were running this. This is 2010, I believe? Or is it earlier than that? No, I think it's 2010. Can you get a close-up on this? I mean, this is a beautifully aged cigar. It's got the oil still in it. It's starting to dry a bit, but not much. There's nothing, no mold, no nothing like that. I mean, this was stored in a hard plastic container, and before that, the guy's humidor. Thank you so much for sending this in. And you can see all of the cigars in here look really, really good, and most of them have the cellophane on them. These never had cellophane on them. So Uncle Lee, dude, I've never even had one of those. That's like a legend. I'm trying to work with Matt to remake that. Okay, so smoking an aged cigar, you need to take a few things into consideration. One is, and Caldwell kind of taught me this, and it makes a lot of sense, is that the first half inch of that cigar, if it's truly aged, more than 6 years, it's going to be a little bit uneventful. Okay, so expect the first half inch. Don't light it up and go, oh, I'm not happy with this. Just give it a minute. Let it settle in. The second and third are going to be where the action is, and they're going to be phenomenal. The front is open, so it ages a little bit more quickly up there. Okay. Another thing you need to know about, and I think that we're not the kings of aging cigars, but we definitely brought it a little bit more mainstream, or a little bit to a different audience. There have been people that have been aging cigars for 20, 30 years. These are guys that collect and go to auctions, and I met someone recently that does that, and I'm going to bring him back here, and we'll talk about those estate auctions and stuff like that. But anyway, point being that I feel like a cigar should be smoked by 5 years aged. That's my opinion. I enjoy every 5-year aged cigar I have. It seems like it was ripe as long as it was kept in the right circumstance. Anywhere after year 2, between year 6, I think you start going more than that, and the cigar is definitely going to change. And so if you're looking for a change in that cigar, yeah, sure, age them longer than that. And we do have things in the shop that are aged longer than that. And part of our Back to the Future program was we would take the aged version and the brand new version and put them together and see how much different they were. So, but then, anyway, all I'm saying is I love aged cigars, but I also really like what I call ripe cigars, which are between 2 and 5 years old. That is, to me, the sweet spot. When I went to bourbon country, I heard the same thing about bourbon. Bourbon at 12 years old is... But I've had some 15s that are even better. Scotch does not age the same as bourbon, so it's different. What else should I cover on smoking aged cigars? So a lot of the aging came from the idea that you had to age these cigars, and that came from the Cuban market. Cuban market, from what I understand, if you go on the tours and stuff, they tell you to age your cigars for between 2 and 5 years, okay? They're not aging the cigars at all in Cuba. They're just pumping stuff out, getting it out the door and selling it. So those cigars sometimes do require to be aged. They say it smells like cat piss when a cigar from Cuba is not ready. It's very pungent. I actually kind of enjoy that, but whatever. So with Nicaraguan and Dominican, it's not really the case. They're aging them about 90 days down there, and then they're going somewhere else for, a few months and getting to your local shop. I mean, I think that the aging rooms, especially in like Nicaragua and Honduras, are supposed to be phenomenal. Supposedly, like a month down there is worth 3 or 4 months in a cooler. It's like dog years, they say, that the aging in the professional aging rooms. It's got airflow. It's got a lot of different things going for it. So yeah, aged cigars are great. They balance things sometimes. I've seen it do crazy things. I'm a sucker for aged cigars. The Halloween box is going to be awesome. They're all aged, and you'll see, like, you're going like basically really aged to like medium ages, and you'll see the difference. There are differences, and there are differences in the flavor, because 2 of them are very similar, but one is like half aged and 6 years aged, and the other one's like 12 years aged. I forget the exact numbers off the top of my head, but that's basically it. So, or 14 years aged, 14 years aged, and like 6 or 7 years aged. So you're getting about half. And they're not the same cigar, but they're from the same family of cigars, and they're similar in some ways. And you'll see that, how the aging really affected that. So when smoking an aged cigar, just remember, you want to look for something that looks good still. If it looks bad still, I can't say that's a great representation. If it was one of those cigars sitting in a wet humidor, and they wipe mold off of it, that probably is not a good representation of what that cigar aged would taste like. Hope all of this makes sense and that you find some purpose out of this. And hashtag wear Pravada. Peace.